And welcome back, everybody, to Meta HSE for our third and final game of the night. It is going to be Melbourne High School facing up against Koonung Secondary. And much like our other matches today, today's match is a particularly important one because Melbourne High School, sitting at a 5-2 record, need to win this to play with the team sitting at 6-2. And of course, Koonung sitting at 4-3 need this win in order to break up big. So let's kick it off. I'm still Midnight, joined once again by QWERTY for our third game of the day. And my guy, how are you excited for our third game?
Yeah, after watching the last game, it was a lot more back and forth, and really keen to see if it will be the same. Of course, both of these teams, pretty at this level, especially all teams at this level, pretty prone to making macro mistakes, as we saw last game, which does open up for more exciting and more opportunities.
Yeah, we'll be diving into this one and see what opportunities they do make here, as we are looking at pick and ban so far. Elise taken away. I don't like Elise. I don't like her. Get her off the ban bench. I'm happy with that one. The Thresh ban though, I find quite interesting because I think Thresh is a really good champion if you know how to play him.
That seems to be the trend, isn't it? It's the same with like a lot of champions, what we call playmaking champions, quote unquote. It's one of those champions where you need to have the experience to know when can you make those plays and when can you go for certain risks. We do see Silas as well being taken off, followed by the Karma. Both of these champions have seen a big surge of popularity this patch. Of course, Karma being a very strong flex pick. You can kind of stretch it to a top lane, so that kind of makes her a flex pick in all three lanes as well. And Silas, a very strong laner, has a lot of kill pressure, can carry team fights, can also split push, and Cassiopeia down for the count as well.
Yep. And this pick ban is going nice and slow, and I do quite like it because you can get a sense of what these teams are a bit nervous about, what these teams are feeling about their opponents here. And if this third ban is a support ban, I feel really bad for Dr. Dugong. I don't think it would be. Honestly, I think a mid laner will probably more than likely get squeezed out here. As top lane, never mind, I'm a little bit wrong.
Yeah, Wukong recently nerfed actually having his AD ratio on his Q ability kind of hit by 5%. However, Divine Sundera is still a thing, so he is still rather powerful in that lane. We do see them hovering their mid laner first. Lissandra is a very interesting pick, especially with the blind pick, but looks like they are going to go for this Ornn. Again, very safe, opting to go for that uber busted top lane, as you said.
I think Ornn, I've been saying this since Ornn was released, man. I think Ornn is just ridiculously strong. It does damage, it does tanking, it does death knighting, it does palading, it does everything that you want out of this champion. Yeah. So, I love to see that up in the top lane, up against it. Aatrox can do well against it. I've seen some Aatroxes do really well, but you have to be up in the Ornn's face, and you need to be landing those like special parts of the Dark and Blade Q. I don't know what it's called, like the crit areas, basically. Because if you don't, it's a very difficult matchup. You're making it harder for yourself if you miss them.
Yeah, I feel like Aatrox is kind of like playing a Riven matchup into an Ornn. Like you're this bruiser, whereas Ornn is this uber tank. So you really need to get rolling early. But as we have seen from game one, that's a lot easier said than done. Ornn does have pretty good damage early, especially with that grasp of the Undying as well, helping him sustain in those trades. And, we're just going to have to see how he deals with Aatrox. He has to put in the hard yards here. And the jungler, too, might have to, spend some time getting him ahead and waste some time top, as they say. So that does mean that Kayn and Zed actually going to be taken very assassin-y kind of combo there. Maybe looking for the skirmishes.
Yeah, but what really worries me is the fact that they've got a double AD jungle and mid duo, which means that if the side of Melbourne High School aren't going to run an unconventional bottom lane, then they've got a full AD composition, against an Aatrox, a Nautilus, and what I would hope to become like an Udyr jungle. Like, imagine how hard it's going to be to get through those 3 champions with all your physical-based damage, and then just have something like an Orianna in the middle lane. Like, there are so many options that Koonung secondary can do, but they're going to have to hold on, right? Because if Melbourne High School is just mechanically stronger, they can use this sort of snowball composition and just blow it out of the water in 20 minutes.
Yeah, one of the few times we do see Zed making it through the pick and ban phrase. We do see the Lissandra being banned for that Zed as well. One of the counter picks that is going to be taken away. So they're probably looking around to get the Zed snowballing. Zed, of course, you kind of see him as a poke mage before level 6, the WEQ combo. Once, for Zed, landing your shurikens is directly proportional to how well you do in lane. So there is a lot of mechanical skill riding on the back of Demon Slayer on this champion. The safer thing for Koonung secondary to do is to pick a mid laner that is very safe, has a very low margin for error. Some might say you can even go for a tanky mid lane. And set mid is really good right now into Zed, and very low margin for error. Point and click ultimate. Looks like they're going to go for this Galio though.
I'm not so sold on the Galio as the answer to the Zed. The Galio's the answer to AP assassins in the middle lane here because of the natural magic damage shield. To see that makes me a little bit concerned. I would actually really like the Orianna. A skilled Orianna can just nullify the lane entirely. The hovering... Okay, can you please make up your mind, Melbourne High School? What do you want? I don't know what these signs are telling me. Okay, so it is a snowball composition. If Jinx, Zed, Kane get ahead, imagine how devastating that's going to look.
Yeah, the good thing going for Melbourne High School right now is that with that Jinx, you kind of have that late game insurance. So even if your Zed isn't uber fed or your Kane isn't like super snowballing the game, you can just sit back and scale for a bit. Just send those 2 assassins to split push a couple of lanes, have that Jinx wave clear sitting in that mid lane with the black shield for that peel as well to stop her from being engaged on, and just have her scale into the late game along with that Ornn. So a very well-rounded team comp. The only downside is that, as aforementioned, that they don't really have a strong, magic damage source. So that hover earlier on that Malphite also kind of reminded me that Malphite mid isn't completely gone yet. They actually very well could have gone with that Malphite. And if they did, that Malphite gets so much value from the only AD from the side of Melbourne High. It looks like they're going to take this Lee Sin, very volatile matchup, into this mid lane.
I think that's actually going to be a Lee Sin jungle, because I would be a bit surprised to see Galio jungle. Unless it's like a weird Aatrox thing I haven't heard of before, but I'm just going to make an assumption that Koonung secondary haven't lined up in order, or they've done some weird flexing going on, so we'll take a look at their comp in a bit. But the Melbourne High School composition, we can clearly see Ornn, Kane, Zed, Jinx, Morgana. I must say, I really enjoy it, minus the lack of damage diversity, because they've got a great 1-4 opening. They could 1-3-1 if Ornn does really, really well. Jinx is a late game monster. Jinx Morgana, I think, is obnoxious because it's Dark Binding into Flame Chompers, into Morgana Ultimate, into Jinx Ultimate. It's a perfect all-in level 6 bot lane. I adore it. But the lack of magic damage does kind of concern me. Galio, Nautilus, Aatrox should be relatively tanky. It's going to take a while for the likes of the Jinx and the Kane to get through them with their constant damage output.
Yeah, I do feel like the Morgana pick is more of an answer specifically for that Nautilus in that bottom lane, just to deal with that CC that they're going to be looking for. Because if you're going to go AP, and if this is like a last resort thing, if you really do need an AP source damage on a support character, I reckon Zyra is the pick, at least for this current patch. But the Black Shield, really looking to just peel from the amount of CC from that Nautilus and that Galio as well. Well, we're going to have to see. Black Shield, how's it going to be used? Is it going to be used on the assassins going in? Is it going to be used on peeling the Jinx? That's going to be crucial, and that's going to be the positioning of an immobile character like Jinx as well against the likes of Aatrox, Galio, and the Lee Sin. she's going to have to be pretty on point in these team fights.
Yeah. And because, as you said, all the things that's going to come in on top of it, you need to be playing relatively safe from the Jinx. And when you do get that first kill, and this is a personal note because I've main Jinx for way too long, when you get that first kill, don't just right-click forwards. Don't do it. It's a trap. You will die. Be careful, Lucina, when you do get that first kill. Take the team fight slow, despite, running at Mach 3 as a girl with a minigun, because it's something that I see so many Jinx players fall into the trap of. Oh, I've got a Dark Shield. The rest of my team's forward. I need to sprint forwards, and then suddenly Kai'Sa ults behind you. Lee Sin kicks you in the face. Galio slaps you across the face with the anchor. It hurts. So that positioning is going to be critical in the mid to late game team fights for me.
Yeah, a lot more room for error compared to the likes of Kai'Sa, which has a lot of tools to reposition and to keep her alive. And that's a lot of things that ADC players need to learn, especially people that are just transitioning into that role, is that they, to a degree, rely more on their teammates to allow them to make plays. It's very rare that you get to see an ADC being able to make any plays by themselves. They need that setup. They're so squishy. They can just be deleted by almost any other role. But hey, maybe Melbourne High School, they don't want a team fight. They just want to split push all day, keep the Ornn in the mid lane, call up the Forge God to disengage, Black Shield disengage, and just split push. But we're going to have to see how well what their macro decision is, because we did see a lot of macro blunders in that last game.
Yeah, well, let's find out, Quality, as we will be getting into our third and final match of the game, guys. Remember, this is important. If Melbourne High School can win this, then they will basically be climbing heads and tails above their opponents in the Victoria Tasmania region. And for Koonung Secondary, this game will get them up into that top end, guys. So do not go anywhere. We'll be back in just a minute's time for our third and final match of the day here at Meta HSE. And we've hit Summoner's Rift for our third and final game of the night, where we almost had a little bit of a disaster there, but thankfully Spade Jokers avoided any early game shenanigans, and it does look like we just have a bit of a standard opening from both of these teams, so no fun early shenanigans.
Yeah, one thing that jumps out at me is that Dragons actually has a barrier, taken barrier summoner spell. in that top lane. So not quite exactly sure what the game plan with that summoner spell is. Usually either see the teleport or that ignite to dominate that lane, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Again, nothing too crazy. Looks like junglers are going to be starting on that bottom side of the map, and as we mentioned, they should be looking from the side of Koonung to path towards that top side and getting this Aatrox ahead.
Yeah, you'd hope so, and I think the barrier it is a little bit unconventional. I do kind of like it as a combat summoner because if you do get something like Phoenixy on this Kayn to visit the top lane, you've got a bit of an extra protection against it. So I'm going to assume that's why you're running it. We'll find out if it's worthwhile. So we'll see how it goes itself in that top lane there.
Yep.
As both junglers do start on the bottom side, and it looks like it might be a bit of a heavier clear between the two of them as well. So we might actually get a passive early game Qwerty. What are the chances of that?
Oh man, I don't know if Koonung should go for that. They do have a Lee Sin, and we, from time to time do see the Lee Sin go for that double buff free camp into a gank, which doesn't seem to be on the board right now. So he's just going to go and full clear that bottom side. As we mentioned, the top lane need to get that Aatrox ahead. Oh, Dark Binding lands
about that combo there. That is without the Flame Chompers. No heal was used by the AD carry of Koonung secondary, and the support falls for first blood.
You're very surprised that no heal there, considering the fact that there was no ignite as well. So maybe a bit of a miscommunication. So that first blood going to Jinx is really not worth. So do you see that Jinx will be able to scale quite happily, and having that extra range on this Kai'Sa lane as well is gonna just solidify her control over this lane.
Yeah, ranged versus melee matchup in the supports, and as I mentioned earlier, it's a Morgana who I think just does phenomenally when paired up with the Jinx there. You get the Dark Binding, you get the Flame Chompers from level 3 onwards. It is very good. So with that aggressive start, should be looking in for them as Kai.
Oh my god.
That looked pretty cool there, but look,
another
Dark Binding. How to win is just getting hammered. The only saving grace is Lucina has ran out of mana because they've been abusing the rockets.
Yeah, it looks like they might take that reset here. This is actually not a bad spot to reset if you're the bot lane of Melbourne High. Having able to, number one, crash that wave, and number two, you're now forcing Koonung's bot lane to either recall the same time you do, to which means their lane will be pushing, and they lose the CS. Oh my god, there's that barrier in the top lane.
Barrier and Flash forcing Dragons a little bit over-aggressive there, getting pulled under the turret, but there is a saving grace. Look at the Lee Sin. There is every possibility
might go for this dive. Oh.
And going for something. My camera's looking at the mid lane for some reason, so we're seeing the setup, and we're seeing the disengage completely.
Yeah, looks like they're just gonna recall, gonna be a bit hesitant on that one. On still having Flash does have the potential to outplay that 2v1 under that turret. But yeah, now Jinx actually gonna come back to a boatload of farm, and this is the reset that I was talking about earlier. You either got to reset at the same time as them and give up farm because your lane will push right into them by the time they come back, or you stay and push the lane to which they come back with a massive health and an item advantage. So bot lane is actually looking very, very favorable for the side of Melbourne High right now.
Yeah, gotten that early game lead, and you would hope that with the way they've been playing it, it's going to continue. How to Win really needs to start watching out for these Dark Bindings, needs to either be dodging them or hiding behind the minions. Because if this abuse continues, it's just going to be more and more problematic for them to deal with. As this isn't looking good for Kai. They're taking a bit of a bad trade. As the Dark Binding lands, Flame Chompers thrown out a little bit too late from Lucina there on the Jinx. And Phoenixy is just not really going to get a whole lot there. Because, wait, no, Twisted Dredge Line. Oh, this could be massive. Dark Binding heal being used. I think it's too much the Flash being used late, but you can't miss that Dredge Line. It's a wall. It's not dodging.
It's also a Dredge Line, which is one of the biggest hitboxes in the game as well. So, yeah, a bit of a misplay. I mean, Morgana is just a direct counter pick, isn't it? Having that black shield, you really need to wait for that to be used, but how? If you walk up and try and threaten that, you're just going to get hit with that Dark Binding.
No way.
See,
do it.
No, you might go for this. Okay.
Good.
Oh.
Nearly gets away with that, but now QAQ does have reinforcements, and there's a complete flank going through there. Meanwhile, top lane camera goes on Dragons. He's just going to die to Kai, and on the bottom lane, I don't know how Melbourne High School got them with no casualties, but they did.
Damn, that solo kill is going to be pretty rough for Dragons. You really need... He was trying to, solidify that lane control, as he did get some pretty favorable trades in, and I do believe why he did get killed was because of those multiple trades he did earlier at actually a minion wave disadvantage. Players need to start considering how much damage the minions actually do to you. 14 damage per caster minion, and once you have even like 4 of them stacked up, that's like 50 damage per second on top of the champion you're already trading into. So do you see the death mark in the mid lane?
Ooh, good work there from Nimsay to dodge the shielded to run. And actually, the Ignite, yeah, will burn it down there. Now has to watch out for the Lee Sin. Great, a bit too close there, got slowed down, forced to flash. Must dodge the Q there. The Q hits the minion! It hits the minion! What a beautiful dodge from Demon Slayer! And now QAQ is simply gonna die to this one here. What a phenomenal movement from the Zed.
Wow. Okay, this should be where the Zed starts getting rolling now. Using that taunt, Spade, very preemptively, Zed having that death mark up, it's a very telegraphed ability, easily able to just use that untargeted ability to avoid that CC, and at that point you just used everything on this Galio to maximize that damage on that death mark. Ignite, of course, going to pick up the kill at the end, and beautiful positioning too. Meanwhile, top lane.
And Dragons has to be careful when he fights back, because if he hits Kai, he gets a healing reduction coming through there thanks to the Ramble Vest. But never mind, you don't have to worry about healing reduction if you don't hit the Ornn. Now the Ornn's going to get taunted up. Dragons now has his cooldowns back up. Should be able to get the knock up on the second round, and the flash force out of Kai. Wait, what? Dragons, what? No! God. You can't do that, Dragons! What are you...
That is absolutely a disaster. That is just so greedy. You did get the kill. You just take it. You're an Aatrox with a kill down. You needed that. There's no reason to risk another death under that tower onto your lane counterpart. You have that lead. You were behind. Just take that lead and try to work with it. So a very, questionable judgment there to decide to tower dive into that with the barrier too.
Oh man, that's a tilter right there. You can see what Dragons was going for, but just once the flash was burnt from Kaya, you just have to let that go. But felt hungry for it, does end up going down, and what advantage the gank would have netted them. Unfortunately, not nearly as much as a return to the bottom lane. Oh no.
Number one.
Yep, there's the CC. All aboard the CC train. It sucks. It
How
really
ironic
sucks.
is it? How ironic. It's a Nautilus that's getting CC'd. How ironic is that?
The king of crowd control. This is what it feels like. This is like, it's like, wait, but this is my job to CC them. Now you know how every Nautilus player deserves to play into this lane at least once to know how it feels to be CC'd until you're not allowed to move anymore. As Dragons, it goes for another trade in the top half. This bottom lane again. Lucina and Dr. Dugong are just pushing in Koonung Secondary's bottom lane. The lack of range from the Kai'Sa, the lack of... Well, Nautilus isn't allowed to play League of Legends. Like, his whole thing is CC, and Morgan is just like, XD, get out of my lane, boy.
If you're bottom lane right now, you cannot do anything from the side of Koonung unless there is a jungler around you to help you out. Dragons. Okay, almost gets that kill. There has to dash out of that Kaya on that Ornn. Oh my god, Spade though.
Yeah, Spade Joker's probably going to die here. The Zed is simply far too mobile, intercepts the Justice Punch, and puts the Gargoyle down. Remember, the Gargoyle specializes at dealing with magic damage. The only magic damage that's coming out of the Zed is the fact that he's running Scorch in his secondary runes.
It must be for that passive contempt for the weak as well. But, this is where the Zed starts rolling you. He's gonna... we'll see if he gets a Dustblade or a Prowler score, but either way, he does have that lead to just take over the game, as we see Wawa H is gonna just invade, knowing that he has that backup. Just gonna leave, though, the Zed a bit too threatening. Of course, a bit of a risky trade there on Dragons, being well aware that they are members from Koonung.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised Dragon was playing this up. Yes, there are wards, but it's not hard for something like a Kane to just phase through the wall, get on top of you. A Zed jumps over as well. He has no idea that Phoenix E is there. And now he realizes he's in trouble far too late. Call for Dude comes out, World Ender is popped, but I don't think it's going to matter. Umbral Trespass is available. Flash come out. Phoenix E doesn't even need to flash to hunt that down. A beautiful bait out of a summoner spell. And now it's a 2v2. Kai, though, needs to be careful. This Ornn is in execution range if they're not careful. And this Lee Sin has a few issues with minions and the resonating strike.
Oh my god, they're going back in
those. Kai, you can't do that! You knew he was there!
Yeah, I am not sure what happened. Maybe a bit of a miscommunication from the jungler and the top laner, but Lee Sin was top, and this just means that they get to Breath Herald 5 platings as well, ready for the taking on that top turret. So this Aatrox should be getting pretty comfortable right now. Yeah,
the last couple of minutes, the Aatrox has finally bounced back from the bullying it was receiving to now being the one dishing out the pain. The only saving grace right now for the side of Melbourne High School is the fact that they do have 2 dragons under their belt, and their jungler is apparently in a really good mood picking a fight like this, but I'm not so sure it's a good idea because, you can't use Umbral Trespass if you've been kicked in the face by a Lee Sin. Really well played there out of the jungler for Koonung Secondary, and now they're going to keep the punishment going. They might have the damage to threaten the Aatrox, to threaten the Ornn, I should say, but no, just get the second turret charge through, and what a phenomenal series of event in favor of Koonung.
Zed.
Okay, dragons, that's okay. I think neither of these top laners really realize what's going on. Oh my god, Lucina's gone! No black shield in time. Dugong does get a 2-person stun there, and Kai'Sa immediately goes forwards there. The Galio comes through a little bit too late. A beautiful flash from the good Dr. Dugong gets the man in one piece.
Okay, looks like from the side of Koonung, might be another miscommunication. Of course, Lee Sin already decided to leave, but Dragons opted to stay for an unknown reason, but it looks like something's going to go down again here in this bottom lane.
Needs to be careful though, because they're just straight out outnumbered. They need to use the relatively early. Demon Slayer comes in for the back line as well. Both assassins dive on separate members. That will be the Kai'Sa falling. That will be the Nautilus falling as well. Guy can try and turn this around. I think he has to commit to the kill onto the Morgana, but no, this beautiful stopwatch. That from Dugong was the biggest play of that. The assassins split up, took out their individual targets, and then the Lee Sin thought, okay, I'm gonna die. I can at least try and pick a kill up onto the Morgana. Stopwatch, any hope was just shut down.
Alright, Prowler score 5-0 on the Zed. Whoever he decides to jump on is pretty much gonzo. You see the Kai'Sa there, not just, even if she had ulti, couldn't really do anything. Just easily popped and taken down. And that is just also fighting at a man disadvantage too. You are walking into, the fight did start on their side of the map, in their tri-bush, when they can have team members coming into the fight sooner than your team. You know, and again, possibly another greedy play. And they do get punished for it, and if that happens again, the game is just going to start falling away from Koonung.
Yeah. There is one thing I do want to clear, because I don't play a lot of mid lane anymore. So, my mid lane itemization is a little bit odd. What is Spade Joker going for as their mythic?
That...
normally...
There's an Imperial...
Because, yeah, typically Galio goes for something like a Rocket Belt as their mythic. And I know some like to go for the Everfrost to add just that extra bit of utility. But... a Bandle Glass Mirror.
Mandate. Pretty interesting.
Way. Oh no.
My god.
Well, that's bullying.
Yep. Yeah, that's Zed one-shotting you with a Dark Binding.
Okay, here. Public service announcement. Avoid the Dark Binding.
Avoid the Dark Binding. I mean, that seems to be the name of the game here. This Morgana now is going to roam. This is what you want as a support that has that kind of CC. Once mid-game rolls around, you do want to start walking around the map with your assassins, especially when they're 6-0 with 1.5 items at 15 minutes. But yeah, Mandate, I don't know what he's really going for here. Not even a Seeker's Arm Guard to deal with the Zed. So,
a bit of a ballsy call.
Yeah, bit of a ballsy call indeed. A bit of a disrespect. I don't know what the plan is, but he definitely needs some kind of survivability, or he's just gonna get rolled. The whole point you picked this Galio is for that tankiness, is to survive this mid lane. Your mid lane counterpart is now 6-0 with 1.5 items. How do you survive building a mandate?
I'm trying to think of the other items that build out of the Vandal Glass. I think the
He's got a Ruby Crystal too.
And one other item built out of the Vandal Glass. Is Locket from the glass? Am I remembering this correctly?
Locket is not. Locket's from Aegis.
Aegis. Okay, then yeah, I've got no idea.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to find out, right? We'll all learn together what's happening there.
It does have the Ruby Crystal though, so that is most likely.
Dragons! You see that deny on Kai? Kai's fighting back the best they can. Meanwhile, bottom side,
the
two AD carries are hiding in the backside there, but the supports are not able to hold the front line there. Assassins in the middle lane. That was a kill on to Demon Slayer. Dark Binding once again is the signal for death there, with Lucina picking up their 3rd kill of this game. And top lane, it does look like, surprise, surprise, Dragons on the combat Aatrox was able to come out on top.
Oh, no. This dive.
Run.
There we
go. Run. Okay, well, this could be something. The beautiful killer instinct to buy time. There cannot be disabled, but unfortunately it does not matter on the back end of the Dragons. Trying to turn something around here, but the Flame Chompers should provide excellent disengage. The Dark Binding actually is the death of Dragons. The Flash Force out there. No Black Shield. It was a little bit late, but it didn't matter.
Your Dragons actually won that duel in that top lane against Kaya. Actually, courtesy to that barrier in the last second, blocking that extra little bit of burn damage that would have got him killed. So, and it just seems like these teams, they're always winning on one side and losing on the other. and it just comes down to whichever side gets more out of it. So in this case, Melbourne High does get this dragon out of it, putting them at soul points. There's going to be Cloud Soul, which is actually really scary because you do have champions like Zed, like Kane, that would love. Yeah, that would just love that ulti cooldown. Zed without Soul already has a 30-second cooldown at a level 16, so that is just something you need to be careful as mid lane.
Oh my god, he missed it! Wasn't able to land the initial Sonic Wave and just gets deleted, unfortunately, there for the Lee Sin. I love the idea of Dredge Line onto Demon Slayer. Does get some nice damage, but some good turnaround as well. And a Dark Binding landing once again. Dugong has struggled a little bit in this game, let's not know, but 0011 on this Morgana. And the Dark Bindings, for the most part, have been phenomenal in setting up Melbourne High School for the victories that they're in. I must say, I'm super impressed by the support play right now.
Yeah, and you can see that Koonung's getting out-rotated at the moment as well. Very reactionary rotations. Can't really make or force anything on their own. Just have to react to pushes. And the threat of that Dark Binding, like you said, there's another one.
Yeah, and Flame Chompers, full Jinx combo. The Super Mega Devil use. Wait, wow, Dragons, what? Actually... What? Dragons, what are you doing, mate? You can't do that. Dugong uses the Zhonya's. It gets out courtesy of a flash there, but
that's crazy.
Ballsy.
That is very questionable. Maybe going for that loop. Oh my god, mid lane dip bar.
The fights never end. The fights never end, Qwerty. Oh my god, flash did not land.
That was pretty close.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
This is ballsy to the wall. All the CC, all of the CC on the Galio there. Lee Sin assassinates. I think that was the Zed?
Yes.
What is going on? Now he's going to run for his life. Phoenix, he gets over the wall. The great escape feat, Lee Sin.
Okay, I just want to say that all of those fights pretty much should not have happened at all. It should not have happened. There was no reason to fight. The ref hill was already taken. And the Aatrox with the low percentage over the wall 1v3 steal was also a bit questionable. I don't know if this is anything out of desperation from the side of Koonung, but they should be just looking to split push, because right now they do have decent amount of information. Their wards aren't that bad. They still have room to play with in terms of vision. And especially Dragons as well, that bot lane fight about 5 to 7 minutes ago, he did see everyone was bot side, so there was no reason for him to recall and to come bot late. He should have just kept pushing. This is what Koonung needs to look for.
Yeah, Koonung also look to keep their support alive does make the escape there successful, as the game has sort of, kind of, maybe lost its mind a little bit, Cody, with that last engagement. The teams have backed up, so I think this is the teams mentally resetting, saying, okay, that was a little bit silly, let's just reset, let's just make sure we're doing our right things, you know, get Dragons on the split push, make sure Dragons doesn't die to a 4-man gank coming through from Melbourne High School, all the things that they should be doing. And we finally have our answer, by the way, about what is our Galio's Mythic. It's a Shirelia's Battle
Shirelia's.
I must say, that's not what I was expecting coming into it, but I don't necessarily hate it. It makes it easier for the rest of the team with short range to get in on the fight.
Yeah, it does help with that engage, especially if they do decide to split push with that Zed and the Kayn later on in this game as well. But like you said, there is a Morgana binding, there is a Black Shield, there is Soul Shackle Zhonya's, there are Flame Trumpers, there is a Core of the Forge God from the On. So I don't know if that will be enough. And oh my god, Shelly though.
Wait, that's brilliant. Koonung got so distracted by the Rift Trail push that they now can't see the dragon, and now they lose priority over the objective. That's Phoenixy. What are you doing?
Oh.
It's just Phoenixy is having way too much fun than he should be allowed to in a competitive game like this. As he finally gets in trouble, but he's got reinforcements. Depth charge doesn't matter with the Black Shields available. The Super Mega Death Rocket goes hella wide, and now with a 2-level advantage over his opposite number, he's trying to pick up the fight there, but has the Trem Pass, and that's Kayn. Dragon's now holding the front line of the fight there. Jet Charge comes through, the flash in over the wall to pick up the kill on the Dragons, or trying to pick up the kill there, as the rest of the team is just going to get run over. Kai taking a lot of damage, but not going down just yet. Pengyu does still have the killer instinct if they're feeling confident, but I'm not so sure that's the best idea.
Yeah, the reason why that Kayn won that duel very decisively is if you look at the items, he did have anti-heal, whereas YYH did not. And with both of them having healing items, you know, the one with execution is gonna win. And also, if you put on top of it that he is 3 levels ahead of him as well, so that's why I guess he is allowed to have that much fun.
Having fun.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, no, wait, what? What?
Okay.
No way. No way. No way you deserve to get out of this one alive, but he does. Wow.
Yeah.
Demon Slayer. What was that?
Yeah. So we did see that Cloud Soul. How powerful it is. Using that ultimate on that Nautilus, having that move speed after that death mark from the soul is just able to speed you out of there. How to Win just can't catch up. And there's raw damage from the Zed, using that Prowler's Claw, amplifying that as well, on top of the execution from the Collector. You know, that's enough to one-shot any squishy or anybody that's not a tank. And if you're Kai'Sa, you don't have the Gale Force. So how are you going to play against that? You can't. There is no counterplay to that unless you have teammates. So, you know, Ping is really going to have a difficult time as soon as this game drags on, because it's not just the Zed that's already a big problem that we're talking about. There's also a Kayn.
Exactly. I think in that situation, you just need How to Win's Nautilus around.
Yeah.
It has the crowd control to be able to keep you safe there, so it should be relatively okay. Assuming, of course, that you are able to keep it safe. But conversation for later, I think, as the Baron has been started up here by Melbourne High School. 24 minutes, nearly 25. They have, of course, their 4 dragons, and they're deciding that the next objective is good. But look what the rest of the team's doing. The rest of the team is posturing as if, haha, we're not on the objective. They'll finally know for certain that it's there, and now they have to be careful. The Smites, despite the 2-level difference, are the same. There is every possibility of a steal if they go in now. Is not able to steal it, unfortunately, but this thing is piling into the pit. They need to be careful. Lucina is safe onto the backline there. How to Win finally gets access to the backline, but it simply doesn't matter. But the Kai'Sa, the last vestige of hope, dies in the backline with a kill instinct and shut down immediately. Demon Slayer's having none of that today.
Yeah, that's just the raw damage we were talking about earlier. Using that killer instinct to get onto that Zed. Yes, he was low HP, but that's a Zed with a Prowler score of 10 and 2. You cannot do that. You're not allowed.
Oh, goodbye, Joker. But what? Wait, what? That was an interaction and a half there as Kai, tanking the turret, a little bit disrespectful, will be able to recall. The inhibitor line will be broken. Melbourne High School finally getting that kickoff there on the back of a really good team fight.
Yeah, the problem for that from the side of Koonung is that, first of all, you went for a steal where if you knew you were going for the steal, you have to commit to a fight. There's not really another way out. And if you don't go for the steal, then okay, yeah, sure, you give away the Baron buff. But what do you have on your team that can, I don't know, wave clear or stop any sieges? It's very difficult.
Yeah, because, well, you've got a mid laner, right? Mid laner with, oh wait, it's a Galio with no range. But you can have an AD carry, oh wait, it's a Kai'Sa with, oh yeah, also no range. Yep. So, yeah, as you say, they don't have a choice. It's either you give the Baron and you get sieged out, or you fight the Baron, die, and they take your inhibitor anyway. So, it's the... I'm a fan of the fighting back, right? It's better than rolling over and just letting the game play itself out, so...
We're gonna see how they're gonna use this Baron buff now. Looks like there might be a bit of a 1-3-1 setup from the side of Melbourne High. Meanwhile, Demon Slayer looking for something, but is going to get spotted by a scrying trinket. So Dragons is just going to back off of that, and they're just going to keep sieging these turrets, sending 3 people for this on. Of course, the problem is now is that their waves are not really synced. So you see them engaging on Kaya.
Kai is a little outnumbered. I don't think Kai will get out of this, but it's more so what are they going to lose? They committed 4 members onto the Ornn here, who is just buying time. Look at the mid.
And he gets a kill.
What?
He gets a kill.
That's not allowed!
That is crazy. You just lost so much doing that. That is...
You lose an inhibitor at minimum.
Yep, you lose 2 turrets actually, 1 or 2 turrets, and an inhib, and you lose the Galio. And guess what? You just completely just conceded the entire opportunity, any opportunity of gaining back any map control.
Yeah, you have no map now at this point coming in here because you've lost any and all presence, because now if you leave your base, you lose your Nexus turrets. Yep. So you now need to dedicate 2 people at all times to clear the waves, and now you know that Melbourne High School is going to go bot lane. Elder's in less than a minute. Yep. How are you meant to... Like, I don't see how Koonung is meant to hold this off, even if Koonung were even in gold. I don't see how they're meant to hold this off.
And those are the 2 best in turrets that the inhib to have been taken down for that dragon on the complete opposite side of the map. You can just pressure with this on and just send him top lane to threaten to end the game while everyone takes this Elder. But it looks like you don't need to, because these super minions are already on their way. And these Dark Bindings are going to keep people at bay here. And this just looks like a very decisive Elder Dragon.
Yeah, and the problem that Koonung are in is if you don't contest an Elder Dragon, you've lost the game. If you do contest the Elder Dragon in this situation, you lose the game. Yes. So you're stuck in a situation where no matter what you do, you have to play mechanically perfectly, or this happens, which is you lose your support, you lose the rest of your team, and you lose the game because minions are now crashing into your Nexus turrets. It is the ultimate lose-lose situation here for Koonung. There is no right answer.
Yeah, it's already too late. It's gone. The ticking time bomb's already blown up, and what do you do now? You have a Zed that can one-shot anybody. You have this Jinx, which is pretty much at 3 items already. And, yeah, Joker has no choice but to try something.
He's in there, does the kick. Could he steal it? Oh, that could have been everything. Yeah. The Galio was a distraction.
It's that TP. And they're just going to look to end this right here, right now.
Yeah, and charging in there, Kai. There's nothing you can do at this point. Elder, 10k gold. Even if... Look at Kai! He's by himself. He's fine. He's gonna get... Oh my god, there's no way Kai turned this, right? Kai, no!
That's a kill.
No! Oh, Ornn is broken!
That's enough. Oh, mine he lives.
Altitude's gonna die too. There's... Oh, flash.
Oh, the fountain.
Okay. Not bad. But that still will be Melbourne High School taking down Koonung Secondary. Koonung fought off well, but unfortunately they were just not able to survive the onslaught. Too many little mistakes, a little bit of chaos in the game, and that will be the game done and dusted. Melbourne High School move to 6-2.
Yeah, that is just a map slowly getting just well, it started slowly getting choked away, and then at the end there, it just completely disappeared. And you couldn't keep the Z in control. Had that Galio pick with the right idea. That Zonya's came way too late. You needed that Seeker's Arm Guard pretty much first item against that. And that Z had free roam over this entire game, could do whatever he wanted, diving the fountains at the end of the game. You just can't really do anything. Had the right idea with the Shirelias, because you do need to make these catches in order to come back with the game. But again, it came too late. And at that point, the map is no longer yours. You can't control the map anymore to get enough information to use that item to its full advantage. This Kai'Sa, Peng, yeah, good champion. It's a very great champion to carry these fights, but what can you do? Again, you have a Zed, you have a Kayn. This Kayn was 3 levels ahead of your own Lee Sin at one point.
Yeah, it's really hard.
It is really difficult, yeah. And there's an Ornn.
And there's an Ornn, and there's a Jinx, and there's a Morgana. There's just everything being stacked on there. You just can't fight that one off. But we do get to take a look at our Optus and Torrens University player of the game. And this one, I think, might surprise people a little bit, but it's actually going to be Dr. Dugong in the bottom lane. 1-0-24 on the Morgana. Didn't die. But I think, which is super important to note, is that there was so much pressure that came out of this Morgana, right? So many Dark Bindings that forced objectives. So many Dark Bindings that got picks off. What fighting back could have come out from Koonung, just there wasn't enough because they couldn't stop getting caught by the Dark Bindings.
Yeah, allow champions like Morgana to, let that one through. It's a perfect counter. It's just a perfect counter, and you have those Dark Bindings landing left, right, and center in this bot lane as well, solidifying that lane control along with that superior range of both your champions in their bot lane. And she starts getting Moby boots, cool. Starts roaming the map, cool. And guess what? You have a Fed Assassins that she can easily set up for. Has that Zonya, so not afraid to go in to make any what we like to see risky plays. So what are you gonna do? And Dr. Dugong just again has this free reign along with his teammates to set up anything he wanted.
Exactly, a really good showing coming out from the side of Melbourne High School. And Koonung, there were signs of life, but it just got a little bit scrappy, a little bit all over the place. If you can keep a level head in these games, which I know isn't easy because there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of communication that has to go on. If you can keep a level head, I think if you can calm it down, fantastic. Because I just don't think this chaos style of League of Legends is your bread and butter. As for Melbourne High School, they seem to flourish in it. Then again, it's easy to look good when you're ahead in a chaos style of game. So,
yeah,
is always that. But guys, that is going to be it for us at Meta HSE. That's our 3 games of the night done and dusted. Of course, we'd like to thank everyone who participated, all the teams, of course, the ones streamed and, of course, not streamed, the admins who have been running throughout the course of the night, and, of course, the teams that did play on stream, and, of course, the viewers. Thank you for joining us for the last 3-something hours. We appreciate it, and of course, hope you guys take care of yourselves. Meta is not yet done. I believe there is at least 2 more weeks to go, so make sure you come back next week. Same time, same place, surprise, surprise. We'll see you guys then. But until that time, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you later.